for the people.
My name is Clinton Eugene Curtis.
And what is your profession?
I'm a computer programmer.
Would you please speak into the microphone so the audience can hear your testimony?
I'm a computer programmer.
Mr. Curtis, are there programs that can be used to secretly fix elections?
Yes.
How do you know that to be the case?
Because in October of 2000, I wrote a prototype for President Congressman Tom Feeney at the company I work for in Oviedo, Florida, that did just that.
And when you say did just that, it would rig an election?
It would flip the vote 51-49 to whoever you wanted it to go to and whichever race you wanted to win.
And would that program that you designed be something that elections officials that might be on county boards of elections could detect?
They'd never see it.
Election fraud is not a conspiracy theory. Despite what media has been telling you for the last few days, every allegation of election fraud should not be chalked up as debunked or some kind of crazy conspiracy theory by desperate Trump supporters who want to overturn the election. In fact, what we know is that there are serious allegations of election fraud across the country, but specifically in some very important states that have a count difference between Joe Biden and President Trump of just a few thousand votes.
This is the Church of Satan. Wow. Churchofsatan.com. We have a hierarchy in the Church of Satan. Who knew, right? Guess it shouldn't surprise us, knowing what we know about these clubs with different degrees of membership. So apparently there are 5 degrees. The first one is a registered member, no degree. Then we have the active member, Satanist. There you go. We have the witch and warlock in the 2nd degree. Then you go to the priestess or priest. Then you have the magister, which is the 4th degree. And finally, the last and final degree from the churchofsatan.com is none other than the MAGA. Yeah. M-A-G-A.
When we went over there, I said, hey, I assume we're taking the oil. Are we taking the oil?
So you would keep troops in Iraq after this year?
I would take the oil.
I don't understand how you would take the... Does that mean keeping troops there or staying involved in Iraq?
You heard me. I would take the oil.
Well, what do you do about it?
You stay and protect the oil, and you take the oil, and we pay ourselves back $1.5 trillion or more. We take care of Britain. You take care of other countries that helped us.
There's nobody bigger or better at the military than I am.
Are you telling me you're going to send American ground troops into Syria?
Take back the oil. Once you go over and take back that oil, they have nothing.
But how do you...
We should have kept the oil, but okay. Maybe you'll have another chance. And I come out, front page news, oh, Trump is a horrible human being. He wants to take the oil from a sovereign country. Sovereign, give me a break. You see the people ripping off sovereign.
There are certain issues that people on the left and the right in American politics will never discuss. And the reason they won't discuss them is because they agree mutually. The Democrats and the Republicans agree on something, so they don't want to talk about it in public debate because it reveals the fact that they're basically the same. They only talk about things on which they disagree. Turns out that the things on which they agree are the most important things. The things in which they disagree are relatively minor.
We need to understand that we have been artificially divided for far too long. The global elites have divided us into Democrat and Republican, left and right, conservative and liberal. They have divided us with hot button issues like abortion and gay rights and gun control and prayer in schools. And by doing so, they have given us, the electorate, the illusion that we have a choice. When in reality, both the Republican and Democratic parties are owned by the same global elites. And on issues that matter to those global elites, they act as one.
By the time you go to the polls and you put your pencil mark on the paper or punch the lever, whatever you do, the decisions are already made. The candidates have already been selected. And the work goes on there, is who selects the candidates that the people vote for? Who frames the issues that the people vote for? Voting is nothing. It's all done before that stage. This left-right paradigm is a political ploy. It works very well for those who know what they're doing. We find that the Republican Party and the Democrat Party both are pretty much in the hands of a relatively small group of people with a membership of about 4,000. It's called the Council on Foreign Relations. These are the people that are really pulling the strings in both the Republican and the Democrat Party.
We get a lot of advice from the council, so this will mean I won't have as far to go to be told what we should be doing and how we should think about the future.
People like Hillary Clinton know, even at that elevated position, Hillary Clinton, you'd say, was one of the big movers and shakers. Compared to the Council on Foreign Relations, she's not. She's a small fish. And she knows that she's got to get the approval of the CFR.
Let's talk about the state of Nevada, because there's a lot going on there. And it is also important to note this. There are a lot of allegations out there about possible voter fraud and possible election fraud moving forward. The real question becomes, how credible are the claims? In a sworn affidavit signed by a worker for the Clark County Elections Department, that's the county where Las Vegas is located and that went so heavily for Joe Biden, a worker there claims that they saw multiple examples of widespread election fraud. Again, this is in a sworn affidavit. Let's take a look. In this affidavit, the worker claims that they personally witnessed two people handing multiple unopened mail-in ballot envelopes to two other people who then opened and filled out the ballots against the side of a Biden-Harris van. In another case, the worker claims that a group of people, quote, formed a human wall to block visibility as they were marking ballots and placing those ballots in pink and white return envelopes. Quote, when the moving human wall of people noticed me walking by, they continued moving to block my view as I walked, the affidavit reads. The whistleblower alerted the team leader who called the Clark County Elections Office. The office reportedly told her that, quote, nothing could be done about the ballots or envelopes that the worker witnessed individuals handling outside the Biden-Harris area. The poll worker was also told that ballot harvesting is legal. Now, ballot harvesting is where someone goes out and they collect ballots from registered voters and then take those ballots on their behalf and drop them off at a polling location. But that's not what this worker says they're witnessing here. They're not saying that someone's going around and harvesting ballots. They say that people are standing with the campaign and filling out blank ballots at the side of a Biden-Harris van at a polling site.
I've got a lot of thanks to give out here. First and foremost to my perfect wife, Stephanie.
I sit on the stand and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn turn blonde in the sun. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. Play the radio. Make sure the television. Make sure you have the record player on at night. The phone. Make sure the kids hear words. And the kids used to come up and reach into the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap.
That's it. Keep it going. You're standing right next to me. There you go. Thank you. All right. Nice to see you guys.
Remember, I got in trouble when we were running against the senator who was a Mormon, the governor, okay?
So don't assume that just because I'm going to point out a few unfavorable truths about Trump that I support the left. Far from it. That's the kind of thinking that happens when we are successfully programmed with the left-right paradigm. I'm telling you, not only is the whole system intentionally broken, but it's been corrupted from its beginning because it was designed to fail. If Jesus told Pilate that my kingdom is not of this world, then why would his kingdom be of this world 2,000 years later? We are to be in this place, not of this place, and those who insist on defending the world and those who refuse to see the reality of what Trump could be potentially used for, those who refuse to see the reality of what America has been used for and what we have done, are in for a sad reckoning. You're putting a political party and patriot programming before your creator. So if you're asking, well then who do we vote for? You still don't get it.
On October 7th, President Trump announced for the third time that he was going to withdraw all U.S. troops from Syria. And not long after, for the third time, he rescinded his order. Due largely to pressure from Israel and from Zionist acolytes, including Senator Lindsey Graham, President Trump chose to simply relocate about 80% of the U.S. troops a 2 to 3 hour drive to the east in neighboring Iraq, where they will guard oil fields. The remaining 20% of the troops in Syria will be moved from the north to join the U.S. troops in southern Syria, along the border of Jordan, not far from Israel. President Trump said in a meeting with reporters yesterday that Israel had specifically asked him to keep U.S. troops in Syria, which he agreed to do. They too will be used to guard oil. Oil plays a central role in the geopolitics of the Middle East. We must remember that the Anglo-American New World Order, which was established after World War II, accomplishes its goal of geopolitical conquest by toppling regimes and plundering the lucrative resources of the native populations. Back when President George W. Bush announced a global war on terror, what he was really doing was ceding control of the United States over to the New World Order to achieve its geopolitical ambitions.
My fellow citizens, at this hour, American and coalition forces are in the early stages of military operations to disarm Iraq, to free its people, and to defend the world from grave danger. On my orders, coalition forces have begun striking selected targets of military importance to undermine Saddam Hussein's ability to wage war. These are opening stages of what will be a broad and concerted campaign. We come to Iraq with respect for its citizens, for their great civilization, and for the religious faiths they practice. We have no ambition in Iraq except to remove a threat and restore control of that country to its own people. I know that the families of our military are praying that all those who serve will return safely and soon. Millions of Americans are praying with you for the safety of your loved ones and for the protection of the innocent. For your sacrifice, you have the gratitude and respect of the American people. And you can know that our forces will be coming home as soon as their work is done. Our nation enters this conflict reluctantly, yet our purpose is sure. The people of the United States and our friends and allies will not live at the mercy of an outlaw regime that threatens the peace with weapons of mass murder. We will meet that threat now with our Army, Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard, and Marines, so that we do not have to meet it later with armies of firefighters and police and doctors on the streets of our cities. My fellow citizens, the dangers to our country and the world will be overcome. We will pass through this time of peril and carry on the work of peace. We will defend our freedom. We will bring freedom to others, and we will prevail. May God bless our country and all who defend her.